Hey, thanks for joining me. Today we're making queijadas. Translates to little cheesecakes, basically. And it's a dessert seen throughout Portugal. Every region seems to have a different take on the recipe. In the mainland, you could find their version in the town of Sintra, a very popular dessert in that area. Today's recipe is coming to you from the Azore Islands, specifically the island of San Miguel, where they make a queijada called Queijadas Da Vila de Franca. One of the queijadas that are popular there, it's made with a fresh cheese. Azores are known for their dairy. They have a lot of cows. It's very green, almost looks like Ireland. And with the milk from these cows, they make the fresh cheese for a queijada. We're going to line these tins with butter and then dip it in flour, then squirt it with some water, dip it in flour, squirt it with water, dip it in flour. So you're building up a very thin pie crust that the little cheesecake goes inside. And instead of making my homemade fresh cheese, I am going to use a ricotta. So let's do this. Right, the first step is to build up the pie crust in our little tins. I'm going to get my hands dirty with some butter. You can make this also in muffin tins. All the tools and dishes I usually have links in the description area of YouTube. So I'll put a link to these little tins. You could use them for little muffins at home or pastéis de nata. But you also can make these in muffin pans. Right, the next step is building the pie crust inside the little tartlets. I have a little bowl of flour here. Just kind of put the whole thing in there. It'll stick to the butter, and then that's it. So you go through each of these, kind of tap it on the side to kick out the extra flour. The next step in the procedure is to get a spray bottle and spray each of the tins. You lined it with butter, you dipped it in flour once, now you're going to spray it with water. That way it makes it sticky so you can dip it in the flour again. So you're kind of building up a really thin pie crust in these little tartlets. And then we just repeat the process all over again. Dip it in flour, shake out the excess. So basically you repeat this 4 times. So 4 sprays of water. So it's actually getting 4 dustings of flour. Again, you can do this in a muffin pan, butter it, and then spray it with water. It kind of makes a little bit even more of a mess, but kind of have a cookie sheet pan so you could dust out some of the flour, spray it with water, dust out some of the flour. Another way I've seen people do it, they'll butter it, put the flour in one side, and then if you have 2 equal muffin tins, you just sandwich them and shake them to dust them. Again, suggest you do this outside or a big sheet pan. I'm going to put these in the refrigerator until I'm finished with the cheesecake filling. I did make a video on queijadas de leite. That is a queijada that doesn't have any flour or cheese in it. It's actually the simplest form of queijada, so go ahead and check it out on my YouTube page. Okay, the first step is to put in sugar. You can do this in a stand mixer. I'm just doing it this way. I will mix the sugar and egg yolks well together. Now I will put in the cinnamon, put the salt, the softened butter. I am going to switch to a rubber spatula. Put in my ricotta cheese. If you're interested in purchasing any of the tools or products I use on my videos, there are Amazon affiliate links in the description area of the YouTube page. All right, the oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. As soon as I put it in the oven, I'm going to turn it down to 300. I like using a thermometer whenever I cook, so I'm going to cook it to an internal temperature of 175 degrees Fahrenheit. All the recipes for these videos can be found on my website, justcookwithmichael.com. Now we'll go straight in the oven. They've been cooling for about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to take them out of the metal tart tins. They're still like, a little bit warmer than room temperature, so they're not ice cold. That way they'll still pull apart from the tin fairly easily. So you just kind of like tap them and they pop right out. There you go. It looks so good. It's nice and soft. The little shell is probably a millimeter thick. Now traditionally these are topped with a little powdered sugar, so you could just grab one, be delicate with it, put it in the powdered sugar. So I had some extra Queijada filling and I decided to make a few in a regular muffin tin so you just can see how that's done. So to try to pop them out. There we go. They probably cooked about 5 minutes longer than the smaller tins. That is so good. Just a slight bite of cinnamon in there, a little crunchy shell. Thanks for joining me. Give this a try. Now go out and cook for someone you love.